If you're not learning, you're losing. And I don't like to lose. So in the digital marketing space, it is ever evolving, right?
Hmm.
Programmatic capabilities are increasing, different types of placements and assets available in the digital space. I mean, it's continuously changing.
All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to the 𝗺𝗚𝗃𝗃 podcast. My name is Daryl. I am your host today. And with me, I've got Ashley Bauer. She's amazing. I love her. In fact, we had to make sure that we actually started recording because we'll keep talking to each other. Ashley, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be a part of the podcast today. Really excited to talk about things with you this afternoon.
Awesome. Yeah, super excited myself. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you, Ashley?
Yeah. So my name is Ashley Bauer. I am the marketing manager and key account manager for Missouri, Arkansas, and Eastern Oklahoma, which is a fancy term for sales manager, for those three states for 𝗍𝗃 Animal Health. And 𝗍𝗃 Animal Health is a family-owned animal health company out of Columbia, Missouri. That's where I'm at today, my lovely home office. I have kind of a hybrid position. Obviously, marketing is my main focus, keeping everything on track, meeting all of our yearly goals, our quarterly goals, managing budgets. But then also I get to play sales rep. That's kind of how I describe the term, and go out and meet our customers in Eastern Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Missouri. And I love it. I absolutely love the animal health industry. I love the ag industry. Majority of my customers are beef producers. We've got some dairymen and a little bit on the swine side of things as well, and equine. So it's a pretty diverse role, but I don't do the same thing every single day. So I think that's one of the main things I love about it.
Yeah, I was about to say, you must have like many different hats that you wear depending on the day and where you're going.
Yes, yeah, ball cap, stocking cap, cowboy hat, cowgirl hat. It just it just depends on the day. But yes, in all reality, I think that's the beauty of a small family-owned company is you wear a lot of different hats, but you wear all of them with pride because you're working together as a team to better the company overall for everyone involved. So really blessed to do what I do.
Yeah, I love that. I really love what you just said there about wearing the hat and wearing it with pride, because that's important too. You want to wear the hat with pride so you do the best job you can, and I know you definitely do. So the next two questions everybody gets asked, Ashley. So, what would you say are your top three achievements, and what did you learn from those?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I'll tell you a little bit about myself, and that'll kind of work its way into the achievements. So I call it in a past life. I was a Missouri State Fair Queen and a Miss Rodeo Missouri. So
What?
those were a few years ago. Now I won't tell you how many. So those were some kind of fun personal achievements that I never thought I would do, or I never thought I would compete in those sorts of pageants, but I
Mhm.
did, and they actually helped advance me into kind of the career and the woman that I am today, and really helped me with like my first job opportunity out of college, helped me build a network of individuals to work with and communicate with. And so many of those people that I met, however many years ago, I still work with today, whether it's in rodeo and now it's in the beef industry. It's just really been spectacular. So there's one of them. Lot of fun, lot of fun. If anyone's listening to this podcast and they're like, "Oh, I don't know if I should run for this title or blah blah," do it. You will never regret it. I mean, you learn everything along the way. It's so much fun. Another thing about me that I'm really proud of or excited to have the opportunity to do is I judge horse shows kind of all throughout the Midwest. I've been fortunate to go from Minnesota to Iowa to Illinois to Arkansas, Missouri. Obviously, that's where I call home, and judge for different breed associations and different open horse shows. And really looking forward to expanding, the judge cards I have in that aspect of life. I always kind of call that kind of a side hobby, but it's definitely one of my major passions. Um, and then let's see, third achievement. Okay, so this is pretty wild. Everybody remembers COVID years, right?
Uh-huh.
2020. Woohoo! Woo! So much fun. And 2020, I actually found myself at 26 years old, 27 years old, unemployed. My job was in the rodeo industry, and because of COVID, we were not able to have rodeos. And so that was really scary. It was really scary. And I had to do a lot of self reflection over what is it that I wanted to do now. I had a completely clean slate, right? When
Hmm.
COVID goes away, yeah, I could go back to what I was doing full time, had the opportunity to do so. But I really sat down and took some time and thought about where I wanted to go, where I saw myself in, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. And I knew that I wanted to get into animal health. And so I took a leap of faith. I saw the Endovac Animal Health Marketing Coordinator position on LinkedIn, reached out to my previous boss on LinkedIn and said, "Hey, tell me about this position. I have a ton of business experience. I have a ton of ag industry experience. I didn't have a marketing degree. That was scary. I had a
Hmm.
business degree with a concentration in management. But I took kind of that leap of faith, knowing that's where I wanted to go. And so took the job in February of 2021, and now we're in January of 2024. And in those almost 3 years, I've been promoted from marketing coordinator to marketing manager. And like I said, key account manager. And I think that's the beauty of, learning from something. So I think that would be one of my achievements, something that probably would have been taken as just an absolutely negative experience in time of life, and tried to shift that focus into this is why that happened. And this is, the way I was being propelled forward into a totally different industry, different career. So yeah, I think that summarizes my three.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, do you think that maybe like some of the confidence and stuff that you got from pageantry and just like the talking to different people and all that fun stuff
Yeah.
helped you do that? Because that's a ballsy thing to do, is reach out like that.
Yeah, no, I absolutely. And I think that I went to a private university called William Woods University in Fulton, Missouri. It's about 30 minutes outside of Columbia, Missouri. All of the opportunities that that university provided me to grow as a public speaker, to learn how to network, to grow in confidence in what I'm doing, led me to then getting my first job as a professional rodeo sponsorship and public relations manager. And that really pushed me to grow too, because that was a lot of, hey, we're going to have a rodeo in the city. Go live there for a while and meet all of these business owners and all of these people in that city, and have them become a part of our event. And that's hard. I mean, it's kind of like cold calling, but it's mostly, hey, let me cold show up on your doorstep. And
Uh-huh.
so I had to learn a lot there. I had to grow as a person, and I would not trade any of that for anything. It's really pushed me to where I am now.
For sure. And props to you for that, because as someone who also did a very similar thing, going, all right, I'm in sales now, but I have to go door to door essentially to get the business.
Yeah.
If you're not used to that, it's tough to do.
It can be really intimidating. I think the biggest thing to remember is if you find yourself in that position, the worst thing that people can say is no. And honestly, if you're genuine and you love what you're doing and you believe in what it is that you're selling, right?
Hmm.
You're going to be just fine. I felt that on the rodeo side of things. And I really feel that in my role here with Endovac Animal Health is it's easy to sell something that you truly believe in, that works, that is going to help anyone in the industry, that is going to help your end user and customer. So, it's easy when something sells itself, right? And you believe in that. So,
It is. And you brought up something too, being genuine. If you're a human, I mean, we're talking to other humans, right? Then, you get a lot of rope
yeah.
being a human, to where, you know, some people will slam doors or just say, hey, get out or whatever. You've been through that, I'm sure. It is what it is.
Right, right. Yeah. And again, I always take no as a not right now.
Yeah.
Right. I think that sometimes, you just have to understand it may not be the best time to ask that person for XYZ. And that's okay. You have to be respectful of whatever it is they have in front of them at that time. And you hope you get that same respect and genuine kindness in return.
Yeah, yeah. And when you do that, believe it or not, sometimes they come back to you.
Yep. One of my favorite quotes is, and I say this all the time, what is meant for you will find you. So if it doesn't work out right away, there's a reason for that.
Hmm.
Say a prayer and wait for it to circle back around.
I love that saying, and one that I was taught very early in my sales career, at least, was you can't lose what you never had.
Correct.
So if they said no, you're not losing anything. You're moving forward.
That's exactly right. I really like that. I'm going to steal that.
Please do. I've trademarked it though, so there's like a quarter every time you use it.
Perfect. Perfect. I'll start collecting art.
Moving from kind of that sales conversation and like your early start, which I'm sure I could talk to you about for way longer than either of us have time today. Moving more into marketing kind of questions, what are the main changes that you've seen since like digital media and the internet have become like an integral part of marketing in general?
Yeah. We'll go back to another saying I always use. If you're not learning, you're losing. And I don't like to lose. So in the digital marketing space, it is ever evolving, right?
Hmm.
Programmatic capabilities are increasing, different types of placements and assets available in the digital space. I mean, it's continuously changing. We see that on a social media side of things. I mean, think about it. A couple of years ago, nobody knew what TikTok was.
Hmm.
Now, if you don't have a TikTok or don't know what TikTok is, they're like, "Oh my goodness, are you from the Stone Age?" And it used to be Snapchat or it used to be Facebook, whatever it is. It's always evolving. And so making sure that you are up to date on what is current in the digital media space, even if you personally don't want to be a part of it, right? Knowing what's going on and utilizing that social media or that digital advertising tool to your company's advantage is huge. Because as a marketing manager or as a CMO, whatever role you have, you may have your own opinions on something. That's fine. Everybody's entitled to them. But if you're not learning, you are losing. And when you're losing, your company's going to be losing. So keeping yourself up to date on what is current, going and educating yourself. There's so many opportunities for self-education in the marketing and sales industry, but
Hmm.
specifically marketing, especially with the ever-evolving digital side of things. So um, you see it on the social media side of things. You see it with programmatic opportunities. We're no longer just selling, here's a ad on my website, you should buy it. It's like,
Right.
we're no longer saying, oh, I've got an e-blast that I can send to this number of people. It's like, well, that's fantastic. But we're getting to the point where like, what are those demographics specifically? How many cow calf producers are we reaching, and how many pairs do they have? Or how many swine producers are we reaching? How many dairymen are we reaching? Are we reaching calf ranches? Like, what is it and who is it that we're targeting with this digital asset? And so I think it's really challenging media partners, and I think it's really challenging people in the animal health industry to stay current.
It really is, especially that data driven side where who's this getting to?
Hmm.
What's the conversion rate there? What are all these things?
Right.
It makes it really difficult.
It does. And I think that the biggest thing to keep in mind as you're looking for digital partners and assets is, can they meet your end user? Can they reach your end user? Are they current? Are they sending you metrics in a timely fashion? Are the rates comparable to other, industry partners? And then building out a plan that reaches every piece of the industry that you need to reach. And not every business is B2B or B2C or, whatever it may be. You have to really, really cater to your audience and your customers and build your plan accordingly.
You really do, and it's interesting to see like how much it changes even week to week. Where some things are like we have to be doing this, and then 2 months later it's a new strategy almost because everything's moving forward so much quicker.
Right. And I love partnering with the digital advertisers that give you, a biweekly or monthly update, because it shows that they really value the partnership and that they are keeping a close eye on your campaigns. And, it's something that as a marketing manager, we notice. We notice, we take note, we track, all of our calls and everything through Google Analytics. I mean, it's really incredible the advances that marketing has grown in the digital world.
With that, and this is kind of an interesting follow-up question, would you say that's kind of like the big challenge now is just staying informed and educated about that cutting edge that's constantly moving?
I think that it is part of it. I think that in the ag industry, we like to focus on what's in front of us, what is the current market, what the current conditions are. But in reality, we do have to absorb that, but we have to look at the future and plan accordingly and think ahead and plan appropriately. And you really have to look at your end user and your audience and completely
Mm-hmm.
put all of your bias aside and say, okay, I'm gonna, pretend that I'm a cow calf producer and I've got 1,000 pairs, and how do I speak to that producer? How do I speak to that dairyman? How do I speak to the gentleman who's got his hands in, on Holstein dairy calves every day? How do I communicate with them to let them know that I've got a product that will help them? I think that's the biggest thing, and sometimes the hardest challenge in marketing is one, staying current on all of the changes in the digital side of things, but making sure that your messaging is aligned with what your end user needs to hear or see.
Kind of building on that, because it's come up a few times, like what's the end user getting? What is the end user using this? How does Indovac use digital media to build those relationships? Because I feel in the ag industry, especially, relationships are more than anything.
Absolutely. So we have a really unique company in the sense that if you call us or email us or whatever it may be, we have a almost, I don't want to say promise, but our general guarantee is to have someone get back with you within 1 hour, right? It may be a little bit slower on Saturday and Sunday, but even then, I can't tell you how many. We call them tech calls. How many calls I've taken on a Saturday or Sunday or Friday at 5:30 at night or 7:30 at night or 7 in the morning. We're not a 9 to 5 and 8 to 5, whatever. We are working for our customers, and that's
Mhm.
that. And so building relationships is the number one priority for sure. But then once you have that relationship established, you know, anyone can get a customer. I want to keep a customer. I want to build a relationship with them, learn about their families, learn about their operations, learn about, what's their dog's name, what are their kids' names, and then maintain that relationship so that if they need something, they've got my cell phone number and they can call me. Or if I need something, I can pick up the phone and I can call them. If I want to check in with them and not just show up one day, I'll call them ahead and say, "Hey, let's go out for lunch and let's go out to the ranch afterwards." Those are invaluable. But keeping the customer is what's important. And that's where that digital side of things comes into play, right? You can
Mhm.
build first party data, email lists, and utilize those internally. I know you can buy lists from other digital media partners sometimes or from different trade shows. And just knowing that you're getting in front of the right audience on the digital side is huge, and staying current with them. A
Mhm.
lot of our end users still have Facebook, right? And they use Facebook every day. So it's pretty clear we're probably going to serve some Facebook ads, right?
Of course.
And so, and on the flip side of things, a lot of our end users are still reading a bunch of different print magazines, right? So we want to make sure we're getting in those print publications that are reaching our end user. So building the relationship is number one, but maintaining that relationship is number two. And that's where I think marketing really, really comes into play, staying current.
Absolutely. And it's smart. You got to be where the fish are biting. Where your customers are is where you want to be.
And I love fishing.
I do. You know what? I haven't gone fishing in so long, and it's something that I love doing.
We can go ice fishing right now if you want. There's a lot of snow on the
There,
ground,
there
but
is, there is. No, I could probably go out of the marina here. My friend has a boat, and he loves fishing. He doesn't get to go out as much, so that might be a phone call. Be like, hey, I've got a case. If you've got a boat, let's go.
oh, let's go. As you should, as you should. And if you do, let me know what type of trophy fish you catch.
Probably snapper. Probably going to be getting red snapper out here in the Bay. Very tasty. Very, very tasty. Very tasty. Maybe snook if it would be really odd, but usually it's red snapper this time of year. But okay, interesting question. Not about fishing.
Yeah.
But what is a common myth about your job, or even let's say your field of expertise, like what you do on a daily?
We talked about wearing a ton of hats, right?
Mhm.
And I think that sometimes there can be a disconnect between sales and marketing. And I think that as a 3-state sales territory manager and the marketing manager, I try to make sure there is not any of that for EndoVac, right? I mean, when I talk about I enjoy the people that I work with, I mean it, from the home office to management to our sales team to our manufacturing team. We have got one of the coolest and the best and one of the most close-knit teams probably in the industry. And I think it's because we all have one common goal to make EndoVac the best that it can be, to continue to encourage that growth and see that growth. So one of the myths, I think, is that huge disconnect that people always think is present between marketing and sales. And that also marketing's only marketing, right? You're locked away in an office and you don't have a clear view or a reality of what's going on in the industry. And I think that's truly a myth. If you
Mhm.
are, that's okay. That might be the card that you've been dealt. But if you're really, really trying and staying current, and again, we're always learning, um, I think that myth needs to be set to the side. And I encourage anyone in marketing to squash that myth and do
I,
so by continuing to expand your knowledge base.
I'd agree with that. And I almost feel like that myth in general comes from the sales world too.
I think it goes both ways. I think it really does. And again, very fortunate that I have a sales team who's like, "Hey, this is what's going on. Can you help me on the marketing side?" And I say, or I can pick up the phone and say, "What do you think about this? How does this look? Is this meeting, your user in South Dakota who's in a negative 45-degree wind chill or whatever, how can I make your life easier so that when you do show up to this negative 45-degree wind chill ranch or whatever it may be, they're going to welcome you with open arms
Mhm.
as a sales rep because hopefully your marketing is supporting that as well."
And I have to give you props too, because I think a big part of it is company culture, because it can be different company to company to company.
Absolutely.
And so props to EndoVac's team and yourself for having that culture in the company where you help each other achieve goals rather than, point fingers would be probably the most PC way to put it.
Yeah, I think accountability is huge. You have to hold each other accountable, but you also have to realize, like we said earlier, everyone's human. At the end of the
Mhm.
day, we all have lives, well, sort of, outside of work. Um, and just understanding that, we've had individuals on our team, um, have kids, and we've had individuals move, and life changes, weddings, stuff like that. And we just kind of really focus on, encouraging one another and being friends just as much as we are coworkers.
That's awesome.
Very lucky.
Very like, and it's hard if you find that in your position, if you're listening and you find that, it's a great place to stay and build yourself and learn and just soak it up, because it's not everywhere.
No, that is true. And I can honestly say, you may start out somewhere like, again, I started as just a marketing coordinator, and that was so perfect. It got my foot in the door and allowed me to kind of climb the staircase, right? And
Mhm.
so if you're not where you want to be right now, that's okay. Keep learning, keep working, set a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10-year goal and take the steps every single day, every week, every month, every year to get to where you want to be. And keep your options, your eyes, your ears, your mind open. Make sure that you're listening for those opportunities. I would not be where I am today if it wasn't for the people who have helped me along the way in and out of EndoVac, right? I mean, I have
Mhm.
a VP of sales and marketing sales and marketing who just saw the potential, and he's so good about bringing people up, right? And recognizing the growth and the potential they have and kind of molding them as they go so that they can move up and they can advance in their career. And so if you find someone like that, if you work with people like that, keep them. Those are
Hmm.
those are good people. Those are my people, you know? Those are the people you wanna be around. So, it goes back to relationships, it goes back to teamwork and company culture for sure.
You said something there that I like, and it's something I'm working on. Where you're like, have a 5, 10 year plan, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I actually just took a master class. I'm part of a group that meets like once a month or every other month, depending on events and stuff like that, for leaders in business, I guess. Right. And one thing that I'm good at doing is setting goals for this week or this month or this year. But I am not good at the 5 year plan.
Yeah.
And so, one thing that the MC of this event said that really stuck with me, and I printed out a bunch of stuff, and over the weekend I'm working on that 5 year plan. Is he's like, we're really good as humans at overestimating what we can do in 1 year, but really underestimating the 5 years.
So true. And one, kudos to you for continuing your learning. I love that. But it's true. And my husband and I sat down probably 2 weeks ago now, and we had never really did this before. We always talked about our goals, right? But I tell
Mhm.
you what, writing them down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, as individuals, as a business, as a couple. I mean, that really is challenging. It took us hours, and I don't think my husband liked it that much.
Yeah,
But
it's hard.
well, it is because you think you're like, "Oh, I know what I wanna do this year." But then when you think 5 and 10 years from now, can you even imagine? That's gonna put us in 2034 in 10 years. I didn't know that number existed.
I'll be the same age, but like,
Exactly.
and you're right too, because like I'm like working on that 5 year plan, and like being truthful to yourself, like deep down inside truthful, where you're not like protecting yourself from the feels and stuff like that. It's tough. It's not fun to do, but I see where it can take me,
Correct.
and take my family and stuff like that. And so it's worth the momentary pain.
Absolutely. And when you do those 5, 10-year goals, breaking them up into small chunks along the way, you'll get to year 5 and you'll be like, "I did it. I did it. Look at that," you know? So keep that in mind if anybody's listening and you are working on those goal sheets, or planning, just break it out into steps. How are you gonna get there?
Baby steps. In fact, I broke mine into 7. If anybody's listening and they want to do this and kind of follow the thing, I broke it into 7 different things, which is like relationships, family and friends, like physical health,
Yep.
gym goals, whatever. A spiritual, like contribution, intellectual, so like personal growth, lifestyle and adventure, which is like hobbies and fun things, environment and tribe. So like my people, as you said, like what are we doing, and then finances. And I'm really like, it's probably going to take me the week to just kind of go through each one individually. That's what I'm doing. Give it a go.
I love it. Can you send me the outline, please?
I will. I'll send it over. It's a good thing I wrote it on a notepad and just left it.
Hey, sometimes that's what you have to do, you know? There's so much power in just connecting that thought in your brain onto a piece of paper. There's so much power, or onto your laptop, whatever it may be. We use my laptop because it kind of holds you accountable.
It does. I'm a big pen to paper person. Like I love electronics. I have my iPad, as you can see, has a little Apple Pen. When I write notes, I'm
Yes,
all over the place. But the difference between me writing on this and writing on paper is so different.
right.
So, okay, thank you. Thank you. We'll see how long it actually takes me. I'm not the most amazing writer in the world. So we'll see. But it's a process, right? So
That's true.
I've given myself the end of next week to be done with it. And I'll just break it into pieces. So I think we can almost wrap this up with like 2 questions for you. And the first one being, what is one piece of advice other than all the advice we've accidentally given on purpose that you would give someone starting out in a similar career to yours right now?
Apply.
Just do it.
We'll start with that. I've got a couple pieces of advice. Yeah, just apply. The worst they can say is no. And if your end goal is to be in one specific industry or one company or one type of position, apply. The worst they can say is no. I mean, and I can give you a ton of different personal experiences. I'll spare you
Mhm.
that, but just applying, having the confidence to get your name out there. And I will tell you this is my second piece of advice here. If it doesn't scare you just a little bit, it's probably not for you. It should
Mhm.
scare you. You should have a little bit of nerves, a little bit of butterflies, that gut instinct of like, ooh, this is gonna this is gonna be a good move for me. This is gonna be a big move for me. It may or may not work out, but I'm gonna have the confidence to take the first step. So apply, take the first step, and I hope it scares you a little bit.
I love that. I love it. I mean, if it scares you, you're probably growing.
That's true. It's true. Growth is not always comfortable. There, we have a saying here at Endovac: there is no growth in the comfort zone, and that is the cold hard truth. And
Hmm.
sometimes it's hard, and you'll second guess things, and you'll question things, and but that's where the best kind of growth occurs.
That we can end it there. That's the best part of it.
That's it. I'm out. See you later.
Job's done. See you next week. But yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, get out of your comfort zone and embrace the fear. And Gordon Ramsay said something interesting on a podcast where he said, "Don't be afraid of the storm.
Yes.
The storm is where so much happens. That's where all your learning and growth comes from. And when you're applying, reach out to the people in these positions."
It's your network. People sometimes, I think, in us as humans, we are afraid to reach out to people and say, "Can I use you as a reference? Can I pick your brain on this? Do you know of any positions open here? Do you know of any companies looking to hire XYZ?" I want everyone who's listening to this, you are never a bother. Never, 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 never. If someone doesn't get back with you right away, give them a little bit of time. Maybe they're in the middle of a huge project, or they have a life event, or they're on vacation. Some people do take vacation. um,
Who?
but you're never ever a bother. So don't be afraid to reach out.
Yeah, that's great advice. Don't be afraid to reach out. And people like to help other people. Like people feel good when we help people. So don't be afraid. If
That's true.
So it's a little different if you're like, hey, 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 like my 10-year-old cousin who's just like shooting me a message left and left. But
The bird pecking on the window.
yes. But if you're genuine and say, hey, can you help me out? Or, hey, I saw you had this open position. Can you tell me more about it? Like you did
Yes.
way back when. And I feel like it's way back when now. But
Yes. Yeah.
one, it'll help you a lot. And it'll put your name even further up there. And it's a good thing.
That's true. Experts in their field want to help, right? They're an expert in their field for a reason. And if they have a passion for helping others, don't be afraid.
I love it. Ashley, let's actually wrap it up here.
Okay,
Where can everybody find you at Endovac online?
Yeah, so Endovac Animal Health, we have an Instagram, we have a Facebook, we have a LinkedIn. I also have all of those social media platforms as well. My name on those is Ashley Leanne Bauer-Slabaugh. There's a lot there. We just got married in June in Alaska. Woohoo!
Ooh, congratulations.
Thank you. It was fabulous. June. So going on about 7 months here. So I always get trouble for having the longest name in history on social media, and I will wear that proudly.
That's the big hat.
Yes, the big hat. And so that's personal. And then Endovac Animal Health across the platforms there. Keep up with kind of our sales team and the trade shows we go to. We celebrated 40 years as a standalone, family-owned animal health company last year.
That's so awesome.
It's unheard of. So keep up with us on social media, on LinkedIn, and don't be afraid to reach out ever.
Awesome. Well, Ashley, thank you again so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure, been an honor, and look forward to working with you guys in the future.
Yeah, likewise. And everyone listening, thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day. And this is the 𝗺𝗺 podcast signing off.